welcome to another episode of the Today Titletown Packers Podcast. My name is Griffin. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at AllDayPackers, and I'm joined by Bron, who you can follow on Instagram at Lambo.Leapers. We're back to you. No game to discuss this week. It was a bye week, latest bye week I can remember, week 13 bye. Gonna have to get used to that with 18 weeks. Feels like this time of the season should be the push for the playoffs, but we've got bye weeks next week too. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, a lot of fan questions. We thought we'd have a guest on who plays for the Packers, but that's not happening. Maybe he'll come back later on this season, but we still got a great show ahead of us today. So thank you for listening. Bron, how are you?
I'm okay. Listen, I'd rather have you than any Packers player, Griff, so just want to put that out there.
That means a lot, man. That means a lot. And of course, I would rather have I almost said his name, but I would rather have the Packers player on than talk to you. But I still enjoy talking to you every week. And we got a lot to discuss today, Bron. Full week of NFL action that we were allowed to just sit on our couch and enjoy. No game to discuss, no film to break down, no stats to pry through. Just good old-fashioned football. What do you say?
Fandom?
Yeah, football fandom.
Let's just shoot it today, Griff. We got nothing else to do, right? I mean, no game to talk about, like you said. Let's just shoot it.
Yeah, let's just shoot it. Let's go. I mean, what caught your eye off this week 13? I mean, right now I am watching at least Monday Night Football, Patriots and Bills. It's very windy tonight. Let's be honest, Bron. We record every Monday night, and it's always during Monday Night Football. And I haven't watched a Monday Night Football game in a very long time. So if we're ever about to play a game, if the Packers are ever about to play a game against a team who's on Monday Night Football, me and Bron, we don't know anything about their last game because we're recording this podcast, which, I mean, pros and cons to doing that, but Bills and Patriots are playing right now. Other than that, we've had a lot of games. The Cowboys beat up on the Saints. The Bucs look like they're going to be right in the thick of it in the playoffs race again. Ravens losing to the Steelers. I guess we kind of really don't care about the AFC, but still fun to talk about. What caught your eye in week 13, Bron?
Well, during this game, there was a point where Eli and Peyton were talking, and Peyton actually said that he tried to call Mac Jones to discuss, some stuff before the game when they go on their telecast. And he said, you have to go through the Patriots public relations department. So then Peyton Manning hangs up. He calls, he goes through the Patriots and he asked to talk to Mac Jones. And they said no. So then he said, that's the first time I haven't been able to talk to the quarterback before the game of the Monday Night Football. So, Griff, if you think about it, I mean, sometimes we can't get players on the podcast. Peyton Manning can't even talk to guys sometimes. So that's just, that's what caught my eye.
That's pretty funny, though. Patriots organization. I mean, that's funny. Maybe that's Belichick vetoing that right there. That's pretty cool. But Bron, you didn't answer my question.
No, that's what caught my eye.
Takeaways?
That was my major takeaway. But no, that caught my eye. But no, with the games, I mean, to me, I watched a little bit of the Rams just to see how they would respond, and then they came out a little sluggish, but finished really strong in that game against a team obviously they should beat. That Dallas
they beat
game,
up on the Jaguars.
Yeah.
The Rams are back.
Yeah, they're back, baby. That's if that doesn't tell you that they're back, I don't know what is. They just beat a really good football team with I think 3 wins. So, right?
Do they have 3?
I don't know. Probably less. I don't care. I don't care. Actually.
I mean, either way, that's a great win for the Rams.
I really don't even know anything about the Jaguars in this year because who cares about them? I kind of don't. They're from Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, I mean, hometown team there. I'm actually a far way from Jacksonville, but
I don't need. Yeah, I'm joking. I know the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the thing is who cares?
I haven't gone out of my way to watch a single Jaguars game this year.
Nobody ever
Trevor
has.
Lawrence has not looked good.
Nobody has ever done that.
I figure that. Yeah, I mean, not since 2017.
But we talked about the Dallas game, right? That was the game that we were looking at as can Dallas go and beat a decent, defensive football team with obviously they're on their 3rd different starting quarterback, and they ended up going in and beating them, and they responded without having Mike McCarthy. And then of course you look at what the Cardinals were able to do against the Bears. Again, another not so impressive win because it's the Bears and Andy Dalton threw 4 picks. And then the Bucs, they had some close calls early with the Falcons, but then won. So it was basically just these NFC teams kind of got the job done. Green Bay had to sit back and watch. So now the playoff picture is kind of starting to take shape more so than anything now. And that's, we really just went through everything we needed to go through there. But everybody, like we talked about how everybody's starting to separate themselves, and I feel like that's what happened this week.
Yeah, we were hoping this would be one of those weeks where the Packers are on a bye, and it's like, who won the week? Who won Week 13? And be the Packers because they got to sit back and watch all the other NFC contenders lose. But no, everyone kind of took care of business. The Cowboys, the Bucks, the Cardinals. Kyler Murray only threw 15 passes, but he's back. The weather was kind of a mess in that game, and the Bears are. We're playing the Bears this Sunday night. Have we mentioned that? I don't think we've mentioned that so far, but we're playing the Bears this Sunday night. I will be in attendance. The Packers are 2-0 when I'm in attendance. So expect another victory there because Aaron will look up in the stands and see me wearing his jersey. No
I
one else
think
really wears the number 12 jersey.
you're just
So
that good luck charm, I think. And those are some advanced stats you just threw out there. The Packers are 2-0 when Griff is in the building. That is some real hardcore hitting analysis and analytics for you folks. You don't get that anywhere else here. So
well, my mom has been there both times too, and she's coming back with me. So I'm also bringing my girlfriend. Hopefully, she's not the bad luck charm. And
we know you don't have a girlfriend. The jig is up, buddy.
hopefully, that'll be a fun game. Hopefully, we can beat up on the Bears again. But the Bears, they looked like a mess of a team. Did you watch any of that Cardinals game, Ron? Because they look like a team whose season is over. It's like they're just running the ball so much. Dalton's throwing 4 picks. Like, God, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was so
It really
funny
reminds me
because
of.
they beat the Lions by 1, and that felt like a loss to them probably, just
It
because
did. It felt like a loss.
how do you go away after beating a winless team by 1 point and feel confident or
Oh my
anything like
God.
that, right? Oh, by the way, Vikings lost to
Yeah.
the Vikings lost to the Lions. The Lions
Vikings.
are winless no
We
more.
didn't even mention that.
I
Oh
forgot
my
that.
God. The
That's what
Lions
sets
beat
up.
the Vikings.
Yep.
EQ's little brother. What a game.
Yeah.
What a Vikings moment. And this is the thing about Kirk Cousins, man. QB wins are not a stat. Quarterbacks don't win games. Quarterbacks don't lose games. But when you're Kirk Cousins and you stat pad as much as Kirk Cousins does, and you have the army of stands that Kirk Cousins does, and Vikings fans think he's better than Dan Marino, and he's just never able to win games. There's a common denominator with this type of thing. People bring up Aaron Rodgers' record against this number of teams and this degree of weather and in the playoffs and against 500 teams, but Aaron Rodgers wins games because good quarterbacks tend to win games. Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's obviously having a great season, but when you cannot beat the winless Detroit Lions, that's saying something. And you can blame it on Zimmer, you can blame it on the injuries, you can blame it on the defense, but Kirk Cousins, a $30 million quarterback, beats the winless Detroit Lions. I'm very sorry. It's in a dome. I mean, come on. Come on. The Vikings, they beat the Packers 2 weeks ago. That was their Super Bowl. They were so excited. Their fans were so obnoxious. They were the team that no one wanted to play in the playoffs. Then they lose to the 49ers and they lose to the winless Detroit Lions. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, I said the Packers didn't win the bye week. The Packers won the bye week. Packers fans won the bye week, getting to watch the Minnesota Vikings lose to the winless Detroit Lions. That's hilarious.
And now we're set up for, if you want to get into this, Griff, we could talk a little bit about this playoff situation, because we now have an extremely early clinching scenario where we could clinch the NFC North after just 14 weeks of football. And we can do so with a win versus the Bears on Sunday night. But first, we have to see the Vikings lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night football. So, Griff, why don't we talk about how likely you think it is that the Vikings will lose to the Steelers, who did just beat the Ravens, the former number 1 seed in the AFC this past, over the course of the last several weeks, they've been the number 1 seed. The Steelers just put them out in a divisional matchup. So now it's going to be interesting because we could see, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's got to be one of the earlier, if not the earliest clinching scenarios we've had in a very long time.
Well, especially with Week 18. I mean, it's the earliest that any team has won the division with the 18-week schedule. That's safe to say. But no, I think it's maybe like, what is that? What would that be with three remaining games or 4 remaining games, I suppose, that we're able to win the division? That would be something, but we can't say we didn't see that coming early on in the season when you got the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, and the Minnesota Vikings, and the Green Bay Packers. So it's nothing unpredictable. But in terms of this Thursday night game, the Vikings and Steelers, I have no idea what to expect out of either of these teams. I can say the same for just about every team in the NFL. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know. The Vikings, they could come back and they hang with the Steelers and beat them by a field goal because they don't blow anyone out, so it's going to be close. But and that's the thing, close games most of the time, one score games they come down to a coin flip. So it could go either way. The Steelers are that type of team too. They're going to play down to their opponent or play up to their opponent either way. Like they get blown out by the Cincinnati Bengals and then they beat the Baltimore Ravens the next week. Was that the next week? It was within the span of 2 weeks at the very least. And the Vikings, they're the same way. I don't know if they go on a 3-game losing streak, but it feels like this could be the type of game where the whole roster is kind of lost faith in the coaching and in the front office, and they know they're due for a reset this offseason, which I hope they aren't. I hope they kind of stick around. Same with Chicago, but maybe they come out flat and it's just like this is a lost season, because that's kind of what the Bears are up to right now. Seeing as how they played against the Arizona Cardinals, it could be that type of game for the Vikings, but it also could be a Big Ben game where he stumbles around and falls over and throws 3 interceptions and 150 yards. So I really don't know. What do you think, Bron?
Well, thanks for giving us both sides of the coin there. To me, I would think that the Steelers defense could do something to neutralize the Vikings offense with somebody who's been such a good player this year, one of the best players on offense this season, Justin Jefferson. Um, they have the personnel that could help, but they don't have that number one corner really. Like Joe Hayden, is he going to be able to do anything against Justin Jefferson? I'm not sure. But it's going to be a great matchup. They won't have Dalvin Cook, it looks like. That'll be a thing. That's a factor. But yeah, that should be a good game. I'm excited to watch that one. Obviously, we're looking for the Steelers to win that game. And I just think that it's going to be a fun matchup in general, just because you don't see these two teams play very often, right? And it'll just be. I feel like the Vikings and Steelers are both similar in some ways. Like they're really not, like, you don't know what they're going to appear to be on a week to week basis as a football team. Like you just don't know if they're going to come out and play really well or if they're going to like just play awful. And it would be interesting to see like which one of them rises to the occasion, as they're both kind of fighting for a playoff spot. They're really similar teams, honestly, just the standing of where they're at. So I'm interested to see how it goes.
Right. Yeah. Similarly, old coaches who have been there for a long time, quarterbacks who have a controversial fan base or controversial standing within the fan base, to say the least. Vikings fans seem to be happier with Kirk Cousins than a lot of Steelers fans are with Big Ben currently, but it should be a good game. Thursday night games are usually not very interesting, but 2 weeks in a row now we've got pretty good games there, so that'll be fun. I don't know, where do we want to go next here, Bron? We could talk about the Bears a little bit more. I mean, what are the reasons that
Who
we could
wants to
lose to
talk
the
about the
Chicago
Bears?
Bears?
I don't know. Oh wait, well we play them.
Well,
That's true. Yeah, I
yeah,
forgot
we
we play
play
them.
them.
I almost don't
It's
care.
gonna
Like it's just
be.
what's the point?
I know. Well, I care. I'm gonna be there. But
Oh
have I
yeah.
mentioned that I will be? I will be there. Have I mentioned
And there's a
that?
rumor going around that you're 2-0. I think the Packers are when you're there, and I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is, I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, they've got luck on their side
Well,
this
here's
week.
the deal. Matt LaFleur says today that there's a potential chance. I think he said potentially Jair, Zedarius, and David Bakhtiari could all return to practice this week. Are they all going to return against Chicago? Because I'm there, because LaFleur realizes that I'm going to be on a plane on Saturday morning, and we got to get these guys on the field. This guy's coming. Or is it just going to wait a couple weeks? Because you always complain about LaFleur's coach speak. Potentially, it was one word, and he's getting everyone excited. And I could see all 3 of them sitting for another week. It is the Bears, after all.
No, you
Do
know
we really
what?
need
That's
these
my
guys against the
prediction.
Bears?
That's the problem, Griff.
That's your prediction.
My
All 3 of them
prediction
are
is
sitting.
that I think they're all 3 of them are going to sit. The problem is the way you're phrasing it makes it sound like he was like, maybe Z, maybe David, and maybe Ja get back out on the field this week. The question was asked, is it possible that Zedarius, Jair, or David Bakhtiari could practice this week? And Matt LaFleur said potentially, and that was it. I mean, I don't
That
think.
is such a LaFleur thing to say.
I mean, isn't it though? Like I don't know if any of them are even going to see the field this week. Um, but it's nice. I mean, it sounds like to me we're getting to the point where it's like we know that they are going to be back at some point. To me, it seems like it's close to a certainty that we're going to get these guys back, and to me, that's all that matters. Like whether it's against like the Bears or like if we like the Ravens, Minnesota, like whoever we get to have them back against, like we'll be fine without them, but obviously there'll be a big boost to have them back.
Yeah, as long as we get them back before the playoffs. Am I okay with them not coming back into the playoffs? It's not ideal, but as long we're going to be in the playoffs, the seeding, who knows right now, but we're going to be dropping 3 All Pros back onto the roster, which is currently 9-3 and sitting in the number 2 seed in the NFC. And that's really it's really fun to think about what this team could look like, and they probably immediately jump to Super Bowl favorites, and all that's going to be really fun. But the NFC, man, right now this is the home stretch. This is the stretch, the final stretch of the season for the Packers. We got 4 games remaining. We got the Bears, the Ravens. No, 5 games remaining. We got the Bears, the Ravens, the Browns, the Vikings, and the Lions to close out the season. And the cream has risen to the top in the NFC. It's very top heavy, and it looked in the kind of the middle of the season like we could maybe even run away with the 1 seed and be resting starters by week 18 potentially, but it's not going to be that type of year because you've got the Bucks, you've got the Cardinals who are currently 10-2, even though we hold the tiebreaker over them, we're still a game back. You got the Rams at 8-4 and the Cowboys at 8-4 as well, where all these teams, man, anything can happen, and a lot of these teams have pretty tough schedules. You could argue we have the easiest schedule out of all of them. PFF has us with the 31st hardest schedule, so the second easiest schedule remaining so far, and they say we have the 11th we've had so far, the 11th hardest schedule, so we're definitely past the toughest stretch of our schedule. And a lot of these teams remaining, we thought they were good at one point in the season, but they're not looking like that team anymore. So this is the stretch we can really make the push for that 1 seed. And it starts with beating teams like the Chicago Bears, who we should absolutely win against.
Right, Griff. If you look at the Power Five of the NFC, when you're talking about the Cardinals, the Packers, the Bucks, the Cowboys, and the Rams, all those teams coming off wins except us, obviously, with the bye. So you look at the way the schedule is of all these teams are kind of panning out here. Cardinals and Rams are going to face off this week for the second time. Cardinals beat the Rams earlier in the year. Rams need this win if they have a shot at the division still if they can maybe pick up a win here, get within 1 game there. But they have to start winning more football games, and not against teams like the Jaguars, like we talked about, Griff. The Bucks play the Bills in this week as well, and then Washington is going to go and host the Cowboys, and Washington's got 4 straight wins. We play the Bears on Sunday night at Lambeau. I mean, we've got the clear, easy matchup of this week at least, right? And you look at the rest of the schedules, and the Cardinals have some tough matchups. Like I said, they've got the Rams this week. They play the Lions, who are hot right now. They just got their win. They got a win, 1 win in a row.
They are hot.
And then
They're making their playoff push.
Yes, they are still in it, man. And then they've got the Colts, who are actually a good football team. They've got to go to Dallas. I mean, and so one of those teams is going to have to lose, right? We don't have to play any of those tough teams like in the NFC like these other teams do. And then the Cardinals have to go to Seattle, or they're going to have to host Seattle, excuse me. So they've got some tough matchups in there. I feel like they're going to have to lose one of those games at least. But when you look at ours, it's the Bears at home. Then we go to the Ravens. That'll be a tough one, but I think we can beat the Ravens, especially without Marlon Humphrey. Who's going to cover Devontae Adams there, right? And then we've got to go host the Browns, and then Vikings are going to come to Lambeau, and then we've got to go to Detroit. I feel like we've got a really nice schedule for us set up to potentially go in that 14. I think it's going to be either 13-4 or 14-3, and that'll break the string of 13-3 seasons from Matt LaFleur now that we've got the extra week of football. But I really like where we're headed, and I think if we're not going to be the 1 seed, we're certainly going to be that 2 seed, but I feel good about our chances to get that 1 seed anyway.
I like the idea of the Vikings coming back to Lambeau. That's just, you mentioning that got me excited. Have you seen the video of Paul Allen talking about, what was he talking about? Jerry Gray, who came up to him after the Vikings game in Minnesota, Bron? Have you seen that?
No, I have not. That sounds
Okay,
interesting.
it's after, Paul Allen, the Vikings radio announcer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, after the Packers Vikings game when we lost, he's on the field talking about how Jerry Gray blamed the Vikings win on the refs. That's what happened, and Paul Allen was very upset by it, and he was like, "Why are you going to put Eric Stokes on Justin Jefferson? I would recommend never doing that again." And anyways, this is all a null point because I saw a reply to that on Twitter. And someone said, "We know who's going to be covering him next time," and it was a GIF of Jair like giving a peace sign to the camera. And I have that tweet bookmarked, and that's just really exciting.
Yeah, I mean Jair against. First of all,
Jair,
that
man.
matchup, Jair. If we get Jair back, I mean, goodness gracious. Just I haven't even really. You don't think about it. Like we're just like, oh, when is Jair? When is D-Bach? When is
Bro,
Z going to
I
come
know.
back? Let's start. You want to start thinking about it because it's a fun project we're going to do here, Griff. Let's start thinking about it. Start with Jair, right? So Jair is back. We've got our alpha in the secondary back, and that's next to what Stokes is doing as a rookie, and what Rasul Douglas has done, and we've got Kevin King.
The secondary's been getting by all year long, and Jair coming back makes it a strength because it pushes everyone down
Yes,
the depth chart.
yes, exactly. Like I just said, Kevin King on the bench. That's where you hit
Kevin
it right
King
on
on
the
the
head.
bench. That's where you
Exactly.
start.
And but the problem, like, he can play good in spurts, like, but we don't need him playing like every second and then getting burnt and looking unathletic on every play. But we have Jair, we've got our alpha. Now let's think about what Z does to our pass rush. Think about it, Griff. We've got Rashawn
The
already
Smith
playing
Bros
at
are
elite level.
brack.
The Smith Bros are brack, or as I like to
But you
say,
could.
back. As we say in most cities and towns, we say the word
I
back,
was
Griff.
I was
And
hoping
the
you didn't
Smith,
mention that.
yeah, well, here we are. And the Smith Bros will be
Yeah.
back. Plus,
Well,
of
Z can
course,
play all over. So can Rashawn.
yes, that's what I'm saying. We can have Z roving around in the middle or on the outside. With Rashawn, he can do some of those similar things. They've kind of helped him move around as well without Z being there. So of course Preston has been playing so well this year. Rashawn is elite and he's blossoming into what we wanted him to be when we drafted him. And of course having all three of those guys rushing the passer allows us to not have like Jonathan Garvin on early downs, who has been fine, but he's not elite like Za'Darius. And it would just enhance our pass rush so much. Plus, obviously, we talk about Kenny Clark, what he's been doing. He's got as many pressures as Aaron Donald this season, which is crazy. Just think about what we can do with our pressure. We haven't even seen that yet. We have not seen Za'Darius, Rashawn, and Preston all playing for more than like a quarter, a half against in a
What does he
game that
play?
didn't
Like
matter.
20 snaps?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
barely played against the Saints in Jacksonville, and now we're going to get to see what he can do with this pass rush under Joe Barry. I'm excited to see what that does. And now David Bakhtiari on the offensive line, he gives us that left tackle spot back. I feel like Yash is playing well, but I think obviously having Aaron knowing that David's there and it's just going to be a lot smoother operation. We know how good he is.
Who
We know
makes the
how elite
biggest
he is.
impact?
Who makes the least impact or the biggest?
Yeah, no. Rank the impacts from the biggest impact to the least impact, I guess. The smallest impact? Yeah, the
Yeah,
smallest impact.
whatever. I mean, I know what you're saying. Yeah, so like David, I feel like David, just the fact that we've played well enough on the offensive line, we're getting the ball out fast. He probably has the least impact just because Yash has been holding up decently. Yash has been holding up decently well. So I don't. Of course, David's an All-Pro player, so I don't know. Um, Obviously, he's going to provide more, but I don't know how much more David is going to provide than just holding up, right? Like which is what Yash is doing. But Z coming back gives us a whole different dimension in the pass rush, and obviously Jair, probably the most important because he is the key to locking down guys on the outside. Z and Rashawn and Preston will rotate. So to me, I think I'm sure you agree that that's probably the order I'd put it.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I would have said too. But I think there's a chance that Z coming back ends up being the biggest impact because a truly elite pass rush, something we haven't seen since 2019 at the very least, but it could be even better than that with Rashawn Gary playing how he's playing. So that could be really fun. And then Jair coming back because we've still got holes elsewhere, So it's secondary. The secondary is a weak linked unit. So if we still got Kevin King on the other side and we still got Chandon Sullivan covering Chris Godwin, that could be pretty plucky. But if we've got a truly dominant pass rush with the Smith brothers and Rashawn Gary and Joe Barry getting fun with using all three of them at the same time, and then we've even got Jonathan Garvin now to come in on early downs late in the third quarter. Like he's a good player and he's gotten experience now. And Tipa, don't forget about Tipa. Like that group could really be something fun. But I would still agree that Jair makes the biggest impact just because coverage is probably more important than pass rush.
You think about something that hasn't been talked about much, but all these guys like Rasul Douglas, you mentioned Tipa, Jonathan Garvin, Yash. These guys are third stringers that are coming in playing starting minutes for us, right? That's what builds a playoff team. That's what builds a Super Bowl team is having these guys who are not starters playing starting minutes well during the season And then as a result, when you get into those moments, like we saw this in 2010 when Charles Woodson went down, everybody was like, it felt like it was a major, major loss because it was, but we had guys that were able to step up. We had, of course, Jared Bush was one of those guys that came in as a result of what Charles not being on, and he's just one of the guys that came in to help and contribute because he's a special teamer, but he started playing snaps on defense in that game. And he was one of the guys, but we've got a bunch of guys that if we were to lose somebody like David in the Super Bowl or in a playoff game, Yash has all this experience now, and he's been great for us to just get in here and keep the train moving for the offensive line and not cause us to take a step back entirely. He's of course not going to be as good as David, but he's been great enough that it keeps us afloat, and that's all you can ask for. So now all these guys, like if let's say it's Jair and Stokes have, they're going to be the guys on the outside, or even if it's just Jair and Rasul or Jair and Kevin, we've got guys behind those two starters to where if Jair was to go down again or if whoever was, we've got Stokes, who's been playing so much this year at starting level, that he can come in and play, and we may not even take a step back, and that's the type of thing that makes a Super Bowl team. So that's one of the encouraging things about this football team that we haven't had in previous seasons.
You can be excited, Bron. That's the thing, man. It's what wins Super Bowls. It's not always the best quarterback. It's not always the best offense. It's almost never the best defense. It's the most resilient group, the most tight knit locker room, the team with the most depth. Luck plays a big part, and we've ridden the bad side of luck so far this season. And it looks like we're gonna get a little bit more lucky down the stretch. So it looks like everything is kind of lining up in our favor, and it's the offense is worse than it was last year, but I feel like it's a better team than it was last year because we can win in more ways. Last year, if you took away Devontae Adams and you limited Aaron Rodgers, it was what were we going to do? The defense wasn't good enough to keep us in any kind of game. But other than week one this year, that hasn't been the case. We've been in every single game, even with Jordan Love playing quarterback. So last year we were winning every single game because of Aaron Rodgers. This year we've won game despite of Aaron Rodgers. Like against Seattle, Aaron didn't have his greatest game, and he's had some real stinkers this year. And of course, take out week one. Don't know what that game was. But every other game of the season, this team has looked very resilient and very depth heavy, and so many role players on this squad that all know their role and they all play it so well. And it reminds you a lot of the 2010 team, and it reminds you of the 2017 Eagles and the 2019 Chiefs, where the whole team can just come together and put together a good run. Hopefully it's that kind of season. Bron, I just wanted to mention it's 30 seconds left in the third quarter of this game. Mac Jones has thrown one pass. Thoughts on that?
No, are you serious? I haven't even
He
realized
has more
that.
he has more carries than pass attempts.
I saw them run a sneak on 3rd and 5. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
not kidding. He
This
literally
game is
snuck it.
hilarious.
He literally snuck it on
I've gone
3rd and 5.
I've been side eyeing it the whole time.
I'm watching it as well. Griff, this is really exciting. Like, I am just thinking about, like, you ever think about what it's like, to be in that Super Bowl position? Like, I'm thinking about, like, I just thought about Equinemius St. Brown, right? And that sounds weird, but, like,
Oh
think
God,
about
dude.
him.
EQ.
You mentioned the role players and guys who know their role and play it so well. And EQ, to me, feels like, and we talked about him last week, to me, it feels like he is going to be one of those guys that is not only going to contribute on offense, but we saw the glimpse of what he's going to do on special teams. And his presence is being felt, and it's going to continue to be felt. And he feels like a guy that we're going to remember as like a contributor down the stretch.
Yes, dude. He is
That's what
gonna
he feels
he's
like, and we've got so many of those guys.
in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, EQ is going to score a touchdown on an end around or a fake end around wheel route or something gimmicky like that. And it's going to be one of the plays that we remember that define this playoff run, assuming that they can go on any kind of run here, which hopefully they can. But I just feel like I know what you're saying. This is that kind of year where those kinds of players are going to leave a big impact. And EQ and Alan Lazard, they're going to leave their mark, and they're going to have these big plays that we've seen them make already. But when we get to the playoffs, when we get later in the season, they just matter so much more.
And we've, of course, talked about the two guys that have come in on defense and had such a huge impact being off the street. And that's Rasul Douglas, of course, and the guy we mention every single week, Devondre Campbell. Those two guys are going to be huge for us.
Bron,
And
he's playing pretty good. Have you noticed?
yeah, I heard he's a really good
We don't
player.
talk enough about Devonder Campbell.
No, we don't. He's just so good. He's phenomenal, and he's going to continue to be that guy in the middle for us that we need. I mean, you need an alpha in the middle of the defense, the play caller, right? He is such a command. He has such a command of what we're doing on defense and of everybody else's responsibilities, and he's so athletic, so fast. He can do everything in pass coverage, and he never misses tackles, and it's just amazing. Like it's so weird because we never see this on this football team, but it gets you so excited thinking about some of the things that we have on this very football team, the year 2021 Green Bay Packers, that we have not had on teams that we felt like could win the Super Bowl. Like last season, we did not have the middle linebacker play that we have. We did not have the secondary play that we have this year. We do not have the pass rush. We do not have the running game capabilities that we've got with the duo of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. The passing game is starting to get back to what it was last year. That is the difference of what these two teams are. The passing game wasn't the same, but now it's starting to get to that point. The offensive line is going to be healthier than it was this past year. It's going to be a much better group because we've got guys at depth and we've got guys starting with the experience that's going to carry over into these huge playoff games. And this defense is much better, coordinated by a different guy in Joe Barry, who's been just so much better than we could have imagined in year one. I don't know if I'm getting anybody else excited as much as I'm exciting myself right now, but this feels like a completely different football team. And this is after the bye, I'm saying all this. It feels like we have a special group here, and we are finally that team that is the clear. Like it seems like it's perfectly set up for us. If it's really like the Ravens and the Bills up top, if the Chiefs don't find a way to get to the top, and even if they do, I feel like we are in the best position of any team in both conferences to go and win this whole thing.
I kind of wish we were playing in the AFC, because if we were in the AFC, we'd be the lone elite team in that conference, because it's a much easier path to the Super Bowl being in the AFC than the NFC, because we've got to go through the Bucks, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, even the 49ers and
Lions
the
and Tigers
Vikings
and
if they could
Bears. Oh
make it.
my,
The
Griff!
Lions, yeah,
It's a
the
duo there.
Lions, they're on their win streak. The Lions, they could make a push. So it's a tough conference. I just pulled this up, Braun. Fewest missed tackles in the league amongst linebackers with at least 700 snaps. These are the top dogs, that every down players in the NFL. No one has missed fewer tackles than Devonder Campbell. He's missed 4, according to PFF, all season long. 4 missed tackles all season. Second place with 5 is Darius Leonard, Demario Davis, Isaiah Simmons, Bobby Wagner. He's in that conversation with this group of players. Jordan Hicks, Jerome Baker, Joe Schobert. Eric Kendricks is all the way down at 13. He's missed 12 tackles this year. That's the kind of player that Devonder Campbell has been this year. And early on in the season, I didn't know what to expect going forward with Devondre, because we've seen like stretches of good play from Blake Martinez, and we've seen stretches of good play from other players at other positions in Packers history, where we're not really expecting him to come in and contribute like that and be a real elite player. But Devondre Campbell has kept it up all season long. What happened? I don't know what happened. Is Joe Barry a linebacker whisperer? I don't know, but he's rejuvenated his career. He's never looked better. And Rasul Douglas, him too. He's played very well at cornerback. If he wouldn't have given up that long touchdown to OBJ, I'm interested in what his stats would look like, because other than that, he's been very sticky. He's broken up a lot of passes. He's had 2 huge interceptions that sealed the game in both games pretty much, including one being a pick six at Lambeau, which everyone's going to remember forever. So these contributors from outside practice squads, I think they both came from the Arizona practice squad, correct? Both of them. So the ability of Brian Gutekunst to look at the every other NFL team's trash and make it his treasure and have them come in and contribute the way they have, it's special. And this is a special season, man. We got to enjoy it. What's that quote about?
I
What's the
know
quote?
exactly what you're thinking
You're
right
gonna
now.
have to help me here, Ron.
I know what you're thinking. Can I read your mind?
Yes, read my mind.
Okay. I think this is what it is, and I'm not like it's not 100% exact what it is, but I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think so.
I wish you knew when it was the good old days. Is that what you're thinking of? Something like that?
Oh yeah, yep. You read my mind.
How did I know? I read
wish
your
you.
mind. Wait, it's
Yeah.
something.
What is the quote though? What is the
It's
saying?
like it's from The Office. It's like
You,
I wish you knew when you were in the good old days, like before the good old days are over, something like that.
yeah, like you know how You know how they say that you wish you could know when it was the good old days? These are the good old days. Something like
Yeah.
that. You get the
Yeah.
gist. You get the gist of what I'm saying.
I knew
These are the good
exactly
old
what you were
days.
saying.
We're
Yep.
going to look back on this. If we are able to put together a Super Bowl season, we're going to look back at these players, at these games so far. The Rams game was so huge. I'm already nostalgic over it. I just know when I'm older, it's going to be a game that I remember. And this is a special season, man. Last year was special too, but ended very, very bitterly. So hopefully this doesn't end with Rodgers walking off the field with his head down, and we can finally lift that trophy. We got to get to some fan questions. We've been going pretty long time, and we got a lot of fan questions. So
I was
what
just
do you
gonna
say we get to
say,
those, Bron?
yeah, let's get to those. We'll talk probably more about this upcoming matchup with Chicago within some of those questions, and we've got a lot, like Griff mentioned. So let's get into it, buddy.
We got 30 straight run attempts for the Patriots as of right now. This is something else, man. All right, this is the fun part of the podcast, Bron. Loosen up.
Oh
Here we go.
yeah, because we weren't having fun before.
We were having fun. I haven't even looked at these. Okay. First one from this is literally the first question I see at Brennan_Platts. Is Rodgers the most talented quarterback ever? Give us a little spiel here, Bron. Have fun. The mic is yours.
Oh, it's the bye week. Should I? Okay, here we go.
Keep
Aaron
it short. Keep
Rodgers.
it short.
Well, give me a time limit.
Under a minute.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers, he's got the best touchdown to interception ratio of any quarterback in NFL history. You look at the age of 37 year that he just put together as the MVP of the National Football League, having a better season than guys like Mahomes has ever had who are in their physical primes. He just did it at the age of 37, throwing, what did he throw, 42 touchdowns and 6 picks, something like that. I don't even care. He won the MVP award at the age of 37. He's 38 now, still throwing the ball as good as ever. He is by far the best quarterback in the NFL because he makes throws that other quarterbacks do not make. No quarterback has ever made the throws that he makes. Tom Brady, yes, he's great, and he's won a lot of football games as the leader of the New England Patriots and of course the Bucks. But the football teams that he's had with the defenses that they've had have been much better and have always been better than what the Packers have had on the outside. Apart from, I think this year we've got that group that can help carry Rodgers to what the Super Bowl
All right, that's time.
is. And okay,
That's
all right, I
time.
could have kept going. You could have given me like an hour.
Right
But
now, you're leading perfectly into my next question here from at Austin OH.
IO.
Is this the best team Aaron Rodgers has ever been on? Now
I
there's a
don't
good argument there.
I don't
I mean, what
know.
other teams are we looking at?
Well,
What
the
other teams
Super Bowl year,
are we
the
looking at?
20 well, I'll give
Yeah,
you the
obviously 2010,
2011.
2011. Well, the defense that year, man,
Well, that's why we're gonna.
that brings
I
them
mean,
down.
we bring you have to put them in the conversation when they went 15-1.
Okay, yeah. Let's establish who's in the conversation right here.
Okay,
2014 and
2010,
2020, I'd say,
2011,
right?
2010, 2011, 2014, and 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, yeah.
Those are the 5
So that's the
teams.
conversation right here.
Yeah, that's the conversation.
15 depleted receiver room. 16 we were 4-6. Yeah, I think that's the conversation. Now, when we're looking at those teams, it's pretty tough to argue that this isn't the best team he's been on. This isn't the best season that he's had, obviously, but I mean that says a lot, right? Because we're 9-3. He is 9-2 when he's on the field. Yeah, there's a pretty good argument there. Devontae Adams is better than he's ever been. So he's never had like a true Hall of Fame receiver to play with before, but he's got that in Devontae. The defense better than it's been since maybe 2010,
Is this the best
2014 at the very
offense?
least.
Is this the best offense we've ever had? I
No,
think that's
no,
no.
no,
That's the answer is no
no,
to that question. Is this the best
no.
defense we've had? I think it's between this group and the 2010 group. And I mean, let's compare. You have to go into the individuals, right? Is there a Charles Woodson on this team? Maybe Jair, but Charles Woodson is above and beyond pretty much everybody when you're looking
Right.
at both these teams. Is there a Clay Matthews, right? Like, is there some of these AJ Hawk? We've got a guy in the middle of the field. Like, we have.
Well, we've got a young Clay and Rashawn. You can argue that.
I don't like that at all. I mean, that's just what
I'm
is
not
that?
saying Rashawn is better than Clay Matthews, but I'm saying he's the young and up and coming pass rusher who.
Yeah. Wait. What if Rashawn makes the big play in the Super Bowl or something? That would be awesome.
Oh, what if he forces the fumble
Yeah.
like he did against Andrew Whitworth
It
against
is
the Rams?
time.
It is time. Pickett, spill it. Oh my God, Braun, did I ever tell you this story? Okay, I'm not going to cut this out. This is a good story. I'm playing football with my girlfriend's little sister like a month ago. And this guy drives by the house and he's like, I was wearing a Packers like sweater. And he was like, hey, I love the Packers, man. You know Ryan Pickett? And I was like, yeah, I know Ryan Pickett. He was like, that's my cousin. And I was like, no way. He said,
What?
yeah, I got all kinds of signed merchandise. I was like, wow. Yeah, I met Ryan Pickett's cousin. He could have been lying, but that feels like a weird player to lie about, right?
No, if you're gonna lie, you'd be like, "I'm Aaron Rodgers' brother."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
should have told
awesome.
him about the podcast.
Yeah,
Should have told him,
man.
hey, can I get Ryan Pickett on the podcast?
Wow, what a
What would we
throwback
ask
that would be.
Ryan Pickett about?
I don't know.
That'd be
I
a good
mean,
bye week pod.
maybe yeah, like a Super Bowl. Talk about the Super Bowl. Obviously,
Yeah.
that would be fun.
Yeah, he said Ryan Pickett had 2 rings, one with the Packers and one with can't remember who else. Maybe the Giants? I don't know. Can't
Yeah.
remember. But Spill It Pickett reminded me of that. Anyways, what were we talking about? Rashawn Gary. Yeah, he's good, man. He's the young up and coming guy. Like he doesn't have the
Okay,
same hair that Clay had,
not
but
at all.
you
But
know,
well, actually, I
you
mean,
know,
he's got long hair.
he does have long
We're
hair,
getting.
but
I think we're getting somewhere here.
yeah, okay. You want to give me a question because you asked for questions too.
Okay, well, all right. Let's see. One question that I thought was pretty good. I will look it up right now from my list. We're gonna have to cut some of this out. Okay, so one fun topic that Vibe with Kai255 brought to my attention is let's label some Super Bowl contenders and some Super Bowl pretenders. A great first question from my side of the ledger, Griff. So let's think here. Why don't we look at we'll look at the top portion of the conferences here, and we'll start with the AFC because the NFC is what everybody wants to hear. So the AFC we've got. Well, the problem is we don't know the outcome of the Bills and the Patriots game as we're sitting here watching it. But as of now, New England is up 14-10. In with 9 minutes left in the quarter.
This feels like a
The
game you
fourth
kind of
quarter.
have to throw out though, because Mac Jones has thrown 1 pass.
You mentioned that, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what you're really
Okay,
going to take away from this game.
I don't know either. I mean, well, it does matter who, like, because if New England wins, they're the 1 seed. If
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Buffalo Bills win, then like the
yeah,
Titans are the 1 seed, I think.
yeah, it matters a ton. I'm just saying,
Okay, well, yeah,
like in terms
okay. So
of
let's look at New England. Let's say, what do you think? Are they a pretender or are they a contender, Griff?
I think they're absolutely a contender. I think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of the modern era, and he's sculpted Tom Brady into being perceived as the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's going to do the same with Mac Jones. And I think that if you have Bill Belichick in the playoffs, then you've always got an opportunity. And looking around the AFC, who's going to beat the Patriots?
I will propose another team shortly, but I think that New England is also a contender because they play a lot of smash mouth football and they do have a quarterback that can throw it a little bit. So I mean, they're winning a football game 14-10 by running it over and over and over again, and they know that they're going to run it and they're running it, and they're having enough success to be winning a football game against a football team in the Buffalo Bills that's 7-4. So I think
Yeah,
they are
they
definitely a
they
good
drop
team.
so much money in free agency, bro, that it's like they just have good players. Last year, people were so quick last year to give all 6 championships to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's a fraud and the Patriots were carried by Tom Brady. But when you look at that roster and that receiving core, I mean, that's why Tom Brady left. That's why he wanted out the door because that team stunk and he went to the best roster in the league in Tampa Bay. And the Patriots, what do you know? They bring in some receivers. They bring in some actual players on defense. They get some guys back off the COVID list, and they find a quarterback who can throw the ball efficiently, just like a young Tom Brady did. And what do you know? They're probably going to be the 1 seed in the NFC after tonight. I mean, that's all you need. That's all you need. And people, they love Tom Brady so much, and they just want to give everything that the Patriots ever did with him. They want to give all that credit to Tom Brady. But Bill Belichick, I mean, he is the greatest coach since Vince Lombardi. There's an argument to be made that he's better than Vince Lombardi. There's no point in arguing that. But he is so good, and he took a 6th-round pick in Tom Brady and made him to what he is today. So people were so annoying last year, but it's nice to see that the Patriots are kind of back in contention. If you couldn't tell, I actually really like Bill Belichick. I read the book Belichick by Ian O'Connor. That's a fantastic book, by the way. I actually listened to it on Audible. You want to sponsor us, Audible? It was a fantastic book, and he's
We've
a
got Life
fascinating
Alert.
guy.
We've got Life Alert. So
Life Alert and then Audible. We could do two. We could do a mid read and a whatever. It's a fascinating book. Belichick is a fascinating guy, and I recommended it to you a long time ago, Bron. I don't think you've read it yet, but I know it's on your reading list.
well, usually things you recommend to me, I just toss out the window like as not options.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. That's
all
very
right,
true.
let's
Except
move
Breaking
on.
Bad.
Breaking Bad. Okay. Let's talk about the Titans. Are they are they a contender, Griff, or are they a pretender? Let me start. I think they are until they get Derrick Henry back. I am going to call them a pretender because I just don't see how they're going to. I don't think I don't see how they're going to be able to run the ball. Their offense is going to become one dimensional. Ryan Tannehill is having a down year, and I don't like their defense that much. So I am going pretender.
Ooh, Bills just missed a field goal with 7 minutes left.
Mm.
14-10 it stays. Anyways, yeah, I'm going pretender too. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. They could maybe beat a couple teams, but I do not have faith in Ryan Tannehill. He's in that Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo vein of quarterback where when everything's going right, he's going to look good and he's going to have his supporters who think who think he can carry a team. But as soon as you take away Derrick Henry, you give him some scrubs at wide receiver, things look bad. They just lost to the Texans a couple weeks ago. Feel like people kind of forgot about that, but without Derrick Henry, it gives them no X factor. They have the ghost of Julio Jones, who's going to be injured. Who knows how many games he's going to play? And AJ Brown, I think, is hurt as of right now. So I do not have a lot of faith in the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Baltimore. I am going to go contender because you look at the landscape and there's not many options of like the top tier teams. So I think Baltimore is going to be one of those because they've got Lamar Jackson who can do so much running the football and he can throw it once in a while too at a decent rate. So I do like what they've got on defense. Apart from the fact that they just lost Marlon Humphrey for the year, which is a huge loss. They do have a dominant front. I like what they can do. So I am going to call them a contender. I will call them a contender.
I don't know. They're in such a funk right now. You know, it's hard to really know what they are. If you take away these past like 4 or 5 games, then maybe they're better than they look right now. But that's not how the NFL works. Right now, Lamar Jackson is in such a funk, and he's been so bad as a passer, even as a runner. He hasn't been as dynamic as the MVP Lamar we've seen. So I don't know. I'm gonna say pretender. I don't have a lot of faith in them in the playoffs.
That brings us to the team that I think might be my pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I am going to say that the Chiefs are a contender because they're not playing great football offensively right now, but their defense is for some reason starting to play well. And that's been the case over the years with Mahomes, and that's why he's had such a good supporting cast, and the defense always plays well for the most part. But this year they have not played well, but they're starting to get better. And if that's the case, I feel like they're going to be one of the tougher teams, and they're starting to kind of round into shape. So I'm going to go with Kansas City being a contender. Griff, what are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
AFC is so weird, dude, because the Chiefs, I mean, they probably are the best team, but Patrick Mahomes has been big booty butt stank lately. He's been really bad.
Wow,
Two games in a row without
what did you
without any
say?
touchdown passes. I said big booty butt stank. He's been
Well,
really
that is
bad
one
and not
adjective I've
looking like
not
Patrick
heard.
Mahomes.
Haven't heard that adjective before.
He is
Is that
every
one
pass
word
is
or
all over the
what is that?
place.
Is that
No,
one
it's
word?
hyphenated.
There's
It's
hyphens in that
hyphenated.
one? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the Webster dictionary, not the Oxford, I don't think. But anyways, he's playing a lot like Lamar, where it's like we know he can get back to a level of play that he's just not at right now. But they've got so many playmakers, I could see them going on a run. But the defense, I have no faith in any defense in the league because defense is so stupid and it's so like random. Like our defense, we think we have one of the best defenses in the league, and then the Vikings make them look like burnt toast. It's a lot of it's dependent on who you're playing, and when you're playing Teddy Bridgewater, it's not the toughest challenge in the world to kind of shut down that offense. So I'm gonna pump the brakes on the Chiefs hype. They have won 5 in a row, but I just don't trust that offense a whole lot right now. So I'm gonna go. Well, someone's got to be a contender.
I
Jesus,
was
who
gonna
did I say is a
say, I
contender?
mean,
The
you've
Patriots.
got one
Dude, the AFC
contender.
sucks. The AFC is
Yeah.
bad. That's why it could be the Patriots. They could be the team.
Okay, well, all
Because
right. Well,
I do not
so
like
you've
the
got
Chiefs. Chiefs and Patriots. Who you taking?
I don't know. That's oh gosh.
Exactly, bro.
Ask me like in a couple weeks. But okay, so for now,
Mahomes versus Belichick, dude.
okay, so you've got one
Taking
contender in the
Belichick.
AFC. You've got one contender. Okay, that's fine. I've got
No,
two
I'll
because
say
I
the
think both.
Chiefs are a contender. I'll say the Chiefs are a
Oh,
contender.
so just forget
What
the
about the
5 minutes
Colts,
you just
bro?
talked about the Chiefs. So just forget all that.
Well, they're
Just
they're a weak contender. Okay, they
that
are
sounds.
on
They
the weak
sound like a.
side of contender,
You made them sound
but
like
they've got a good
quite a.
coach and they've got a good
Okay.
quarterback. So
All right. Well, here's my thoughts on the rest of the gang there. Okay, so tell me first of all, tell me your sleeper team, okay? Because you've got we know those four, right? But now we've got the Chargers are the 5 seed currently, the Bengals are the 6.
oh, I forgot about them.
Buffalo will probably be the 7. If this game ends the way it's looking, Buffalo will be the 7 at 7-5. And then, behind them, you've got teams like the Raiders are still in the mix a little bit. You've got Pittsburgh trying to cling on to, they have an above 500 record. Indianapolis, you talked about a little bit. So, who is a sleeper team that you think could be a true contender that isn't one of the division leaders?
It's definitely the Colts. What seed are they right now? I think they're the 9 seed, right?
They are sitting at 7-6. They
Oh, jeez, dude.
that would put them at the either the 8 or the 9.
Well, they're gonna find a way in. I'm pretty sure. Are the Steelers in right now? The Steelers are in right now, right?
No, they won't. They're not in because Buffalo
Oh,
is
they're not
it's
in.
it's
Oh,
Buffalo,
jeez.
Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and the Chargers.
Well,
There's a
that's
lot of
tough.
good teams. There's a lot of like
Yeah,
good
there's a lot of good teams.
when
That's
I say
dude. The
good,
AFC is
decent
so
teams.
stupid
It's
because
well,
it's
football
the
is stupid,
NFC.
really.
The NFC, you have these teams like fighting for playoff spots, or in the AFC, you have these teams fighting for playoff spots. In the NFC, you've got 3 wild card spots, which no one wants to have. I think Washington is the 6th seed right now. Ugh, they had 2 wins like 3 weeks ago. Like, what's going on in the NFC? And then the AFC, like the Baltimore Ravens, 2 days ago, they're the 1 seed. By the end of the season, they might be out of the playoffs.
It's a crazy year, folks. This is one of the years we've never seen before. And now let's talk about. Well, I'll give my. I think so. You think the Colts, right? I would say, looking at the other teams in the AFC, like obviously Buffalo is the one that sticks out because they were so good last year, and they've got a lot of talent. I like Cincinnati. I think the Chargers have some talent. I don't know. I don't really. I don't actually. I don't really like any of these
I
teams.
do
So
not like the Bills, bro. I do
I
not
don't
like the
think the
Bills.
Bills are very good either. They don't have Trey White.
Josh Allen looks too much like rookie Josh Allen.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's really no good quarterbacks. Like nobody's playing really good this year at quarterback to me except Aaron.
Yeah, no.
And who
There's no
else?
clear cut MVP.
We think it's Aaron, but we'll see. He's got
Not
to
clear
play.
cut.
What? Not clear. No, no.
Not
Yeah,
clear cut.
no. I mean, like the problem is like Aaron missed a game. Kyler missed a couple games. Josh Allen's not playing well enough to be the MVP. Brady is throwing too many picks to me. Like he's got what 10 picks. He's got a couple pick
How
sixes.
many
Like
picks is Brady at? He's
he's
at
got
a
10.
ton, right?
He has
Threw a
10
pick
picks,
six
dude.
yesterday.
Yeah, he threw a
He's at 10? I
lovely.
feel like it's more than 10.
He had a lovely
No,
pick
10.
six. It's
Yeah.
because he gets a lot of drop picks, which is
Well, he's got 34 tutties, so
yeah. I
uh,
don't. I bro, he's got 10
dude, he's the
picks.
MVP.
Oh no, stop it, Brady. How
He's
do
gonna
you
win it.
sit?
Yeah,
Is he? Maybe he'll win it, but it'd be stupid if he
he's
did.
gonna win it.
That
Well,
would be
yeah.
so
I mean, when
stupid.
you look at the roster, yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah, well, but
can
when
you
you
call him
compare his
most
stats
valuable?
to Aaron,
I think if you threw Mike Glennon in there, they'd get probably 10 wins on the year.
yeah, well, Jameis Winston gave him what, 7 wins?
That was pre LASIK Jameis, okay?
I know that was pre-late. That was 30-30, Jameis.
And you know who the head coach of
Like
that football team was?
Bruce Arians.
No, wait. Oh, yeah. Well, but the other teams was what's his face, Dirk Cutter.
Yeah, wow.
Jameis
Forgot
was
about him.
evolving. Jameis was evolving still, and he's. I just can't help myself with this Brady stuff. But anyway, I don't know.
Jameis,
Whatever. I'm a Rodgers
Jameis
fan.
was on his way.
He's.
That was Jameis's championship last year.
Yeah. I feel. Yeah. I'm actually gonna give Jameis the ring. I don't even think Brady should have it. Just give it to
There's an
Jameis.
asterisk. That's Jameis Winston's ring.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk about the
Oh my
NFC.
god.
I hate this conference.
Oh my
I
god. We're
hate the
still on
AFC.
one question here. The
This is
AFC
a big one.
sucks.
It's a loaded topic, Griff. This is playoff football we're talking about.
It's fun, man.
It's fun. We can go for about 6 hours if you want. We can have a 6 hour podcast.
Let's do
Anybody
the
interested?
6-hour special.
Yeah, that'll
I
be
bet
good.
that'll get a
A
lot
six
of
hour
listeners.
bye week special. We'll probably get a bunch of people listening all the way through. Anyway, On to hour 7. We've got the Arizona Cardinals. What do you think? Pretender or contender, Griff? Because they have
I mean, that's
the
the
best record in
contender.
football. That is the contender, you
Yeah,
say? Okay.
yeah, they're the contender in the NFC right now.
The? Did you just say the
They're th-
contender?
like they have the best record. They're probably going to be number one in all the power rankings. Like they're like the team to beat
Can
right
I
now.
stop you right there?
What is that
Can I
means
stop you?
nothing, but
Can I
I'm just
stop you
saying.
right there?
Oh
Can I
Jesus, here
stop
we
you?
go.
Can I stop you?
Buckle up, folks.
We just beat them like 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, you're right. I guess we already beat the team to beat. No, but okay, yeah, but still, I'm not saying that they're better than the Packers. I'm not saying that they're
You
the
called
best
them
team, the
the
Super Bowl
contender.
favorite.
You called them the contender. You said the. You didn't even say the. You didn't even say the. You
Okay,
said the contender.
okay. Well, they're the number one seed, bro. I mean, someone's got to take them down, and we got to win out. We got to get these games at Lambeau because Kyler Murray, did you see him in Chicago? He was pretty uncomfortable. His first pass attempt, he dropped it. It was a fumble. He had to jump on it. We got to get them coming to Lambeau because that's not going to be fun for them. But as of right now, they're 10-2, number one seed. I'm sorry, but they're the team to beat, even though we just beat them. If Rodgers wouldn't have gotten COVID, if Jordan Love wouldn't have stunk it up, if Steve Spagnuolo wouldn't have blitzed him to death, maybe we'd be in a different spot right now. But it is what it is.
Well, I've never
Hey, at
had
least we're not the Bucks. What's the Bucks record? They have
9
four
and 3.
losses or 3?
They're
Oh,
9 and
God.
3, Griff. But we'll get to
I was
that.
hoping they
What
had
do you
4.
think of the Green Bay Packers? We don't talk about them much. Do you think they're a
I think
pretender or contender?
they're my Super Bowl favorite. They're my Super Bowl favorite right
Oh,
now,
so
I would
now,
say.
so are we the team to beat or are they the team to beat? Because we beat
Well,
the
no,
team to
right
beat.
now, I don't think we're the team to beat.
Why? Because we
We
already
did
beat the
beat the
team to
team to
beat?
beat.
We did. Your
Oh,
logic is
Jesus.
off
None of
here.
this means anything. None of this means anything, bro. The team to beat, the
What's
power
your
rankings,
opinion means nothing,
the
or?
yeah, my opinion means nothing.
But mine does, folks. So I'm going to tell you that the Packers are a contender. The Green Bay Packers are
Yeah, they're
certainly a contender.
obviously contender.
The Packers are
They're,
the contender in the
okay,
NFC.
this is how I'm looking at it, Bron, right now. Right now, the Packers are like they are the underdogs. The Cardinals are the villainous team that in the movie storyline of this season, the Packers are going to have to beat to get to the Super Bowl. That's probably going to be the Bucks, actually. So I don't know, but yeah, the Packers, they're a contender, absolutely. They're probably my Super Bowl favorite. Not probably, Bron. They are my Super Bowl favorite.
I was about to hang up. Okay, just kidding, folks. We are on to the Bucks. What do we think about Tom Brady's Buccaneers? Do we like them as contenders, or do we think they could be pretending, playing dress up as a playoff team? What do we think?
They're absolutely a contender. I mean, the ability of that team to take such a untalented quarterback and make him look like he's probably going to win the MVP. I mean,
Oh
no.
my
I mean, I
gosh.
will say the thing I'll say about Brady. Here's the thing. I'll give Brady some props for these
Give
things.
keep it to
I
like
don't
10
like the man.
seconds. Keep it to like 10 seconds.
Okay. So he's how old is he? 54. I don't care. People say it every
All
night.
right, that's enough, Griff.
He's
Let's not.
that
All right, that's
old,
good. That's good.
playing as well he is. Okay, but here's my theory.
No more good
I've
Brady
told this
talk.
theory to everyone in my personal life, Bron. Here's my theory. Brady's gonna retire with 13 rings and every
Oh,
passing
shut up.
record at
Shut up.
59. Okay, but
What is
listen,
this?
and then in 5 years, there's gonna be a major Adam Schefter bombshell article about how he was using probably not steroids, but probably something even weirder.
What the
That
heck is going on here?
yeah, you can't see this happening. You're telling me he's not doped up? His arm has gotten stronger. He's 45 years old, and his arm is
Oh my
stronger than it was
goodness.
at 20.
Come on.
What? You
Relax.
don't? Oh, this is where the Brady slander. This is where you draw the line.
This is so. I mean, like, yes. Does he deflate footballs? Sure. Does he
Dude,
cheat?
do you
Yeah.
know who his personal trainer is? Alex Guerrero? Is that his name?
Sure.
He got caught trying to sell pills that cured cancer. All right, we're back. We unfortunately had some technical difficulties there because this website is not very good, but we're back now. What was I saying? Alex Guerrero, he's a fraud. Tom Brady, he's a fraud. I don't remember what we were talking about. Are we going to move on, Braun? Who's the next team we're going to talk about here?
Well, after the Bucks, who we both think are contenders, there's Dallas. I will go first and say that I think Dallas is a pretender because only because of the fact that their cornerback play is atrocious, and they're not going to be able to hold up against Green Bay's quarterback and even Tampa Bay's quarterback, as well as the Cardinals quarterback, or really any of these decent throwers of the football. So it just, to me, they're going to be the odd man out of these teams that are sitting here in a position to win football games in the
I
postseason.
agree with you there. And Dak Prescott, maybe he's not the quarterback that a lot of people want him to be, including me. I'm a Dak fan, but I don't know. Maybe he's not that elite quarterback, and that defense is not very good. So yeah, I'll go pretender. I don't think they're gonna make a real serious push for the Super Bowl. They did just lose to the Raiders. They're the most penalized team in the league, I'm pretty sure. So it's a lot of things going on in Dallas that maybe I don't think I feel like the Cowboys are just one of those teams that there's always going to be too much of a circus going on. There's always going to be too much drama for them to ever really be the team in any given year. There's a reason they haven't won the Super Bowl since when, the 90s?
All right, so I will move on and ask you this question of these NFC teams, and we know them well. Um, you've got the Rams at the 5 spot right now. Washington is the 6, and the Niners are the 7. Those two teams, Washington and the San Francisco 49ers, both are 6-6. The Rams are 8-4. That's why they're part of, I like to call it the Power Five of the NFC. But you've also got the Vikings are sitting here at 5-7 after their loss to the Lions. Um, Everybody else in the NFC South, Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans is 5-7. We talked about Los Angeles and the Niners, but Seattle's at 4-8. They're not looking like they're going to be in the mix as of now, but they did just pick up a big win against the
I
Niners.
do not think they're.
Um, Philadelphia's at 6-7. No, I mean, well, we'll talk about them. They're not. They have to win pretty much every game going forward to even be in the conversation. But that's only because we've got an extra game, and there's so many bad teams at the bottom of this group that are. I mean, the 6-6 Niners are in the playoffs, as are the 6-6 Washington
No
team,
one wants a
but
spot, man.
Seattle's only two
No
games
one wants
back
one of
from
these
them.
wild card spots.
Nobody wants a spot. That's why Seattle. That's why Seattle might actually have a shot if they can win out. But Philadelphia is at 6-7, and that's pretty much that rounds out that group. So, is there anybody that stands out to you apart from really the Rams? Like, who do you think is that best team apart from those 5 that we've talked about a lot?
The 49ers, I think they're gonna wild card weekend. They could give a team some trouble, but even then, I don't think they're anything to worry about with Jimmy Garoppolo playing quarterback. It's the NFC, man. It's forget about it. After the top 5, forget about it. And that's why I don't know. Getting the 2 seed, it's really not the worst thing in the world because who would we be playing right now if the playoffs started today? We'd be
Niners.
playing the Niners. So I don't know. Maybe that's not a game we really want to play, but I think they are the toughest. I think they are the toughest wildcard team that could snag one of those spots.
I mean, look, like we all know how important the bye is, and we talked about it last week, how important the bye is this year more than any other year, and ever, really ever, more than any year ever. This is the biggest bye week that we could possibly get. Getting that first seed, it's crucial. So if we are forced to play a game, I don't care who it's against, it's not going to be fun. I mean, it'll be fun, but it's not going to be the best outcome, obviously. So we have to hope that Arizona loses one of these games. But yeah, to me, like you mentioned, after the Rams at that 5th seed, um, I Washington's quarterback is Taylor Heineke. The Niners have, we know all about the Niners, but it's Jimmy Garoppolo, and their defense is not what it was in other years because Robert Saleh is now the head coach of the Jets, and they're just not playing as well. And then Minnesota just lost to the Lions, and you don't know what you're going to get with them every single week. No team in the NFC South scares me. Seattle, we talked about a little bit. I don't think they're going to be doing anything enough to get into the mix. So and Philadelphia, they're atrocious to me. I don't even know what they're doing.
It's a rebuilding
They
year for
almost
them.
they were the Jets gave them a real good shot up until the end of that game.
Hey,
To
the
me,
Patriots
I
just
would
won,
go
by the
with
way.
the Niners.
Breaking news:
Yeah, I know. We're watching it at the same time.
Patriots win.
So that puts So the Patriots are the 1 seed. That moves Buffalo to the 7. Think about that.
Yeah,
That's a surprise.
that's a big shocker. A
So
lot of
yeah, I
guys
think
Super
the
Bowl favorite
Niners
right there.
probably are that next team.
7-5 for
Yeah,
the Buffalo
yeah, I
Bills.
know.
Wow,
Ugh. Oh my gosh, right?
but 9-4 for the
Ugh.
Pats. How about that, man? How about that? That's pretty crazy.
It's
Anyways,
an interesting situation.
yeah,
They got a bye coming
the
up.
NFC, it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. I hope we get at least one weekend to sit back and just watch it. And it's looking like, I don't know, there's a chance of that happening. Let's move on to a different question. We've been doing this question for a very long time now. Don't
That was a whole
real
podcast we just
time, it's
did.
literally been an entire podcast. In terms of audio time, I don't know how long it's been, but let me look at a couple questions. I haven't even looked at these questions, so there might be a gem in here. Let me try and scan through real quick.
So we talked about this question from Aaron. I don't know how to pronounce this. Urich, Urich. He asks what make this year's team different from the last two, and we answered that a lot already. So I feel like we covered most of it, but I feel like the glue guys that we have, the role players, just like it's different this year. It's just the way that we're playing is just different. We talked a lot about it, but Griff, you agree with me, I'm sure, that there's a different element to this team that makes it more likely to be in that Super Bowl conversation than in years past.
Yeah, I think this team is just. I think the biggest thing is that this team can win in different ways. If you take away Devonte Adams, we saw it last year. It gave Green Bay some real issues. But now, I think we'd be able to answer better. I think we've got AJ Dillon, who's a better player than he was last year. Aaron Jones, and we've got other receivers who we can kind of rely on. Randall Cobb makes a huge difference there. And the fact that we're getting back guys, we've gone so long without some of these guys, and we're still able to put together a 9-3 season up to this point. I mean, I think that's special, and I think that's a pretty good indictment of how good of a coach Matt LaFleur is. And Matt LaFleur, he keeps getting better as a head coach and as a play caller every year. So I think year three, third time's the charm that he's going to get over in the NFC Championship hump and hopefully take us to the promised land. I've got a question here, Braun, from @7Moose. I'm sure you're going to really like this one. Unpopular opinion, I want to see a Tampa Bay versus Green Bay rematch. I mean, yeah, it's in terms of the easiest path to the Super Bowl. Maybe it's not having to play the Buccaneers. Maybe it's the Bucks losing on Wild Card Weekend. But that would be really fun to finally beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, to pay back for what they did to us last year and break their hearts and see Tom Brady cry.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so it depends. Like, if we're the one seed, all right, let's think about this here. Let's say we get to that one seed spot, or we could even play it out as like we're the two, okay? Our matchup right now would be San Francisco. Arizona would get probably, because then it's Tampa Bay versus Washington. We'll assume Tampa Bay beats Washington. And then whether it's Dallas or the Rams, they're going to have, whether it's either one of those two is going to have to go play Arizona, and it would be Green Bay and Tampa Bay. That would be our second round matchup if as it stands today. Talk about, way to exercise your demons as a football team. It would be to beat the team that beat us in the NFC Championship game in 2019 in the first round, and then beat the team that beat us in the 2020 NFC Championship game in the second round, and then go into an NFC Championship game against a team, probably Arizona or the Rams, one of those two probably, that we already beat earlier in the year. That would be one way to go about it. Don't you agree, Griff? I feel like that is something that would, if we got through it, that would put us in a pretty strong mental space as a football team going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. That'd be most awesome for Matt LaFleur, I think, to finally, like I said, third time's the charm, finally going to get over the hump. It kind of ties into this question here from @MCGrace14. Do you think winning the NFC Championship is a mental hurdle at this point? I think. I don't think so. I think it's just random that we've lost a bunch of games on the doorstep of the Super Bowl. But you have to think that if we get to the NFC Championship this year, Rodgers, LaFleur, and a lot of these guys are going to be thinking, oh, geez, another one of these. What happens if we lose another one? They're definitely going to be thinking about that, and it doesn't make it any easier. That's for sure.
Somebody asked how many Packers faithful want the 1950s throwback jerseys as regular occurrence for future games. That's from Boats and Stuff.
Ugh.
We've talked about this. It would be nice as like a once in a while. Maybe I think even twice a year is pushing it, but like I'll do twice a year. Once a year is fun. I like the uniforms, but I wouldn't do them any more than twice a year.
Yeah, like there's teams like the Ravens who I follow a couple of Ravens fan pages on Instagram, and every week on like Wednesday or Thursday, they post at Ravens. They post their weekly threads, the uniforms they're going to be wearing that week. And like the Falcons are like that too, and the 49ers and the Rams, where they don't have just home and away jerseys. They've got all these kinds of variants and all these kind of pants and top mashups that they can play with. So that's what people kind of want with Green Bay, is for them to, oh, this week we're going to be wearing the 1950s throwbacks. But I don't think that's ever going to be the case. And I think it's always going to be just a one time a year thing, like it's been for so long. But we talked about this after the Week 7 game. I'm just not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. It's worth mentioning that I'm colorblind, so maybe I'm not seeing the colors for how pretty they really are. But I much preferred the 1920s ones with the blue and the brown and the yellow top and the blue cutoff. Those ones I like more. But these ones, they're not the worst. They're not the ugliest things in the world. Wait, real quick, you know what I miss? I miss the all whites. Bring back the all whites.
Yeah, I don't have too much opinion on like I really don't care all that much what uniforms we wear.
Okay.
I just don't ever want to change that. I don't really ever want to change that the classics that we have. Like by that I mean like I don't want to ever see us not wear our current uniforms for home and away. Like I never want to see us move on from those. But other than that, like I like I'll wear. I don't mind if we wore an all gold, an all green, and all white. I like our current classics that we wore already once this year. So to me, I like every uniform we wear because it's a Packers uniform. I did want to point out though, a lot of people have asked us questions about like the future of the team, and it's like, are we going to re-sign Devontae? If we win the Super Bowl, will Aaron and Devontae come back? Like I feel like we're trying to avoid those as much as possible, just because we are trying to live in the moment here of like we have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And if we just worry about whether Rodgers and Devontae are going to come back and all that, like let's just worry about that if we have to or when we have to. Like let's just try to win a Super Bowl here. Like all that stuff is just not. It's not the time to think about that right now. So we're pretty much talking about only everything that is relevant to this football team right now, not this offseason. DJ Moy asks, how does the Ravens' loss to the Steelers affect Week 15? Well, the one thing that stands out to me is the fact that Marlon Humphrey is not going to be in the game for them. He's out for the year now, which is a huge loss because that was their number one cover guy. Against a guy like Devontae, he's expected to at least compete, and not having him is a huge loss for them. So I think that game became easier, even though I like our chances in that game anyway. It became easier. We just saw the Steelers, a team that we throttled. We just saw the Steelers beat the Ravens, and now the Ravens just lost one of their best defensive players. So that does not spell success in the future against a team like Green Bay, who's sitting at 9-3.
Yeah, and we see Lamar Jackson continue to have his struggles, and the Ravens' offense as a whole continue to struggle. And the only thing that could happen for the Ravens is that maybe they're just hungrier than they would have been, because it's going to be Week 15. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. So maybe they're a team that we don't want to run into, that's just hungry enough to give us their best game and give us their best punch, and maybe they're able to shock us a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. That was one of those games, you remember, that was one of those games that early on in the season, early on this off season, we were looking at like, yeah, it's probably going to be a loss, it's probably going to be one of our toughest games. Same with the Browns on Christmas. But both of those teams now, it's kind of like, I think the Packers are the far and away better team in both those games.
All right, Griff, we've talked about a lot here.
We sure have.
You want to end
Too
it?
much? Have we talked about too much? Maybe. I have no idea how long this one's going to be, because it's split up into 2 recordings. So I don't know. It could be 2 hours. If it's 2 hours, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Well, don't worry. I doubt anybody's going to want to listen to us for 2 hours straight anyway.
That's true. Yeah, if it's 2 hours, then
And if
no
they
one's
do,
listening right now.
if anybody's listening, yeah, I was going to say, if you're doing this, like, what are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for listening. I guess that's it. Not much more to talk about. It's funny.
We talked about a lot.
Because in a week where there's no game to review and the game we're previewing is against the Bears, we ended up talking about quite a bit. We talked a lot of big picture stuff, a lot of NFL stuff, not just the Packers, which is fun. I like talking playoffs. This is it, man. The season doesn't start till after Thanksgiving, and this is it right here. This is why we do the podcast, to sit down and talk about the playoffs, and you breaking out the playoff machine on me, and It's fun. This is it, man. It's getting cold outside, and
Well,
I'm gonna be at the game next Sunday.
yeah.
This is fun. We're on a
Oh, really?
yeah.
You're gonna be
I'm gonna
there?
be there. Did I mention that? I'm gonna be there. And also, Devonder Campbell,
What's
good
their
linebacker.
record when you're there? They're 2-0 when you're there.
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
All right.
You
so
mentioned
if-
Devonder Campbell. Yeah,
Yeah, great.
haven't
great
talked about
linebacker,
him
right?
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
4
he's
missed
been great.
tackles. Yeah.
Rodgers is good too.
Yeah, better than Brady. He's a fraud. But if you're gonna be at the game, shoot me a DM. Maybe we can say hi. I'm gonna be there. I can't wait. It's gonna be so cold. I hope they're showing snow on Saturday. Will that linger? Will that push into Sunday night? It'll be like
Maybe
the
it'll
Titans
do a
game last
little.
year.
Yep, that would be great.
That would be so great.
Imagine you're in the. Imagine you get in the snow globe.
Oh
Ooh.
man, that would be awesome. Maybe a light downpour
Chicago
in the fourth quarter. That'd be really fun.
Anything like that. That magical. What game was it last year? Where like, oh, it was it the Titans game where
It
it
was the
started to
Titans,
snow? It
yeah.
wasn't supposed to snow. It was just not supposed to snow. Completely unexpected, and then the snow came falling.
It was
We were
snowing the
putting a
whole game
beating
too.
on. Yeah, we put a beating on a team that everybody thought was really, really good, and then we just beat them 40-14 or something like that.
40-16, I believe it was. It was right after Christmas.
Well, look at you.
Maybe
Look
my
at you.
happiest game of the year. I was just happy.
That
during
was the
game.
best. That was so good.
Yeah, Rodgers, he solidified because I remember that week, Pat Mahomes stunk it up against Atlanta, and Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns, and that kind of solidified the MVP for him. And it was glorious. Devontae had 3 touchdowns. That was one of my favorite games from last season. But this season is going to be even funner. That's not a word. More fun because it's going to end with a Lombardi Trophy. I sure hope so. It's funny because at the beginning of the season, I was talking about how I'm not even invested in this team. I mean, as much as I used to be, but now I'm like a little kid again because I'm getting excited over this team's Super Bowl chances. But that's going to do it. We've done a lot of talking here. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts. Follow the podcast on iTunes or Instagram and Twitter. Oh my God, slipped up there. Shoot us a DM at Today in Titletown, at Today Titletown on Twitter. Shoot us a DM. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at All Day Packers and Bron on Instagram at Lambo.leapers. Is that it? That's everything. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Go Pack Go.
You choked on that ending a little bit there, Griff. Usually you're a lot smoother. Like last week when I talked about how you spit that all out in one take there. You kind of had a couple hiccups there, but
Hey, man.
we're improving. Apparently we're declining, actually, each and every week. So thanks for listening, everybody. Go Pack Go.
Yeah, Go Pack Go.